This conference will now
I
be
have,
recorded.
I have a very quick question.
Go ahead, Rick.
Mr. Pettipool, where are you?
I'm home, Rick. I had to return to Arizona. I was in Spain, as you know, and I came down with a new disease or symptom. I think it's called trigeminal neuralgia. Has
Yeah.
heard of that?
Yeah.
And it started one night in Seville. My head felt like somebody was stabbing my brain with a big pen. And it was half the right hemisphere of my head. It's like a headache. I don't get headaches. My brain, but it feels like somebody's stabbing part of my head, and then go back here, and then moves around. That's how I know. Like anything else with MS. And I had a Zoom call yesterday with the Mayo Clinic, and they're taking my first pill, carbamazepine. It's like a what do I call it?
Anticonvulsant.
Anticonvulsant, right?
Carbamazepine, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's always a hard one to
You know a lot.
pronounce.
And so hopefully this will help. It's not a cure, obviously, but I guess this thing involved pain. And I'm hoping to have less pain, but I won't know until I find out MRI and stuff like that. I'll be able to report further on women. They say, pardon?
Go ahead.
I don't think that we're talking, but here's what I'm going to do. I'll let Kim check in and see who needs some time, and then I'm going to cut out. But I think probably you should unpack that a little bit more, because it sounds like there's some people that relate to what has happened to you, and they may have some good ideas. And you got two more. Karen Broder just came in, and another lady. So I'll leave you guys to it, and I'll see you all a little bit later in the capable hands of Jen and Kim.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks, Rick.
bye.
Hi, thanks.
Okay, let's do a little pause and get our couple introductions in with the couple of people that have came in, because we have a couple new people in. I'm going to maybe butcher your name. Is it Kesha or Keisha? Do you want to introduce yourself? Will you kind of just say where you're calling from, when you were diagnosed, if you're on any medications, and welcome, by the way. I think you're new.
Thank you. My name is Keisha Woodard. I was diagnosed in March 11, 2018. And I'm doing the Ocrevus and I have the Empira. You know, it is what it is.
Well, we're glad you're here. Thanks for joining us today. And if I butcher your name, because I am the worst with new names, please tell me nicely. It's
Don't
Keisha.
worry about it.
Keisha, right?
Yes.
Okay. I will try my best, but that's my worst. It's just my dyslexia. Me, it comes the worst. Okay. And then last but not least, Karen, are you at the computer? Do you want to introduce yourself?
I am. I'm Karen. I have primary progressive. Been diagnosed since 2019. And there are no meds. I don't know, my camera doesn't want to go on.
Sometimes if you leave and come back in, it'll work. Or if you restart your computer.
I have a laundry project. I did laundry earlier and I'm like folding clothes. So maybe it's just a good, it just, yeah, it isn't working. Anyway, yeah, and people my age, I'm 70, so people my age don't have any options. just other than to watch yourself deteriorate every single day, every single week. That's my happy check-in.
Well, thanks for checking in, Karen. So we have at least 3 new people today. We got a couple people that are newish to the MS. So what would you guys like to talk about or discuss, or what are your questions? Or I know I'm going to just say Kay because I don't have your name typed in. I know Robert's very new to MS. He just got diagnosed this year, if I'm remembering correctly. What do you guys, I know Mike was talking about the neuralgia symptoms of the pain.
Right, demo. Right.
My main question is, how can I adjust any exercise that I can do for my hands? Because they seem to be numb.
How long have they been numb for?
They started going, the mobility of them started going about 2 months ago.
Okay, so it's pretty recent.
Yes.
And have you seen your neurologist about it?
Yes.
What did they tell you about it?
They can give me medication for it, but I wanted to see before I went on any more medication if there was anything that any of y'all had the same symptoms that have, how you came through it.
I've had numbness in my hands for years, and majority of the time, the numbness that I'm experiencing starts in my neck. So I notice if I stretch my neck and I do my neck stretches, tons of YouTube videos on stretching your neck. I don't know if they're the same problem or if it originates from the same area. I'm also a mechanic. I have carpal tunnel, along with the rest of the numbness and tingling I get from time to time. But that's worked for me in the past to alleviate some of the discomfort in my hands. Is to really work on doing my neck stretches.
Okay. That's what I started doing, is working out, and hopefully that will help.
Yeah, and dexterity in your hands is super important. So if you can get into physical therapy, you need your hands for everything. So if you can get into physical therapy and talk to a therapist about getting some hand exercises, that would be huge.
But what is the medication they asked you about? They want to put you on.
It's mostly for tremors, but they didn't say what
But
kind.
what is it called? Oh, you don't know
They
what it is?
No.
So we can't tell you whether we have experience with it then.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if anybody had anything with their hands.
I've had it for 20 years until the point that I just have paralysis in my right hand, and I haven't really learned how to use my left hand, but that's what I'm living with. So, yeah, and when I reported symptoms like many years ago, like 20 years ago, they're like, oh, you have carpal tunnel. And I thought, well, I don't have pain. It's just numbness. It's just, yeah, that just escalated into paralysis.
It hasn't gone numb yet. I can still work and do things because I volunteer at the hospital and working on the register and stuff like that. Doesn't seem to bother me. It's afterwards, after I use them a lot, that it starts getting numb and painful. So, but I guess I could talk to them and see what kind of medication they have. They could probably help me on that.
And look into a physical therapist for hand dexterity.
Okay.
I'm with Robert on that. Look into physical therapy and see about stretching, and, perhaps a physical therapist could do some sort of bracing so that you stretch your hand out more and you're not using it, not putting as much strain on the muscles, or maybe something like that. Before maybe going to medicine, you might be able to do it that way. Sorry, I'm having a little spasm. But that's just, I've always found that physical therapist or an occupational therapist, making an OT might be able to help you too.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say OT for hands. I mean, that's more their specialty.
Okay. I just want to know what direction it goes into before I get to say, yeah, give me more medicine for me.
Yeah. And hi, Elizabeth. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm doing well. Just real tired, but doing okay.
That's
Go ahead
good.
and introduce yourself, Elizabeth. We got a couple new people on tonight.
Okay, yeah, I'm Elizabeth. I'm over here in Southern California now, and I've had MS for RRMS, relapsing remitting, for 17 years, and it's up and down. And but I'm looking forward. Oh, and I'm on Ocrevus, and I am very much in the crap gap because it's been a month after I'm supposed to get it, because I got vaccinated, a third vaccine, to get it in that ideal window. And so I'm just counting the days. It's scheduled for the 15th.
Now, does your body let you know that you want more Ocrevus? Does it?
Yeah, it does. Well, it seems like things just go better. Like I have a little bit more energy, and I don't wear out my energy every day so much as I do like the first 3 months after Ocrevus. 3-4 months are the best, and then it gets a little harder for the last couple of months. And when I walk, like we walked to the park the day before yesterday, and sometimes I can walk all the way to the park and back, and sometimes I can hike, 2 miles or something. But my leg, my foot, my toes were going more numb on my left foot the more I walked, and that tends to happen when I'm waiting on an Ocrevus infusion. Like the more I move, the more the numbness comes. But I'm glad to see you guys. I was so excited because yesterday I was like, oh no, I missed the meeting again. And then I was like, no, it's Monday. The meeting's tomorrow.
None of us ever have that. What day is it today?
Yeah.
If I don't put it in my phone, forget about it. I ain't attending. I
That's
completely
like
forget.
you. That's like I am. Everything I do is in my phone.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I
My
remembered
memory.
yesterday, I put an alarm on my watch to remind me at the time. But I was still 10 minutes late because I forgot to feed the dog.
Did
I
we
don't think
answer
I
your
even told you guys.
Yes, you answered my question.
Okay.
Go therapy first, and then so it helped.
I got a dog. We got a dog. Her name's Goldie.
What kind of dog?
Oh, sorry. It just went away from me for a second. Sorry, the audio was pausing on me. It's a red healer border collie mix.
Somebody, I don't know.
Healer, so her
I've had
name's
trouble walking
Goldie,
for
and she
last
has
few
that kind of
years.
golden hue.
And when we went to Spain, I walked more than I have in 5 years. And I don't know what's different. But I could walk and not have pain and walk briskly and stuff like that. So it's been really good. And of course, somebody else came up and hit me. But they're, don't give up and accept MS. Your given station or whatever you think is your skill, because it can change for the better as well as for the worse. In fact, it can go both ways at the same time. I don't know if that's news or advice for anybody, but want to share that.
Well, my research is very limited, and I haven't found anyone in especially with progressive, secondary or primary, I haven't found anyone who said, hey, guess what? I'm all better. So, I mean, have you, I would think you'd kind of want to shout from the rooftops if it was true, but has anybody experienced that?
I had positive results when I went in for my follow-up, my 3-month after Ocrevus. I was showing improvement in my walking. I don't know what they call the exam that they perform while you're in the office, but the lady I spoke with at the MS clinic here in Salt Lake, she's like, we don't get good news a whole lot very often. So the fact that you have improved is fantastic. So I don't know if it's a temporary thing. I don't know if it's a permanent thing, but I'm hoping it's permanent, you know. Any improvement's good improvement, right?
Absolutely.
Christy, since you came in late, girl, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Christy. I'm from a suburb just right outside of Denver, Colorado. I was diagnosed 18 years ago. I am currently on Ocrevus and currently about to start physical therapy for my broken foot. Still having trouble walking on it, but when I went to my neurologist on Monday, I think it was, he said that my foot is strong, so that's good. It's just I'm having trouble with my knee and my ankle joint. So that's what the PT is going to be for. So sorry I was late. I had to go get dinner. I'm starving, so I might black out because I don't want to eat in front of you guys.
Understood.
You can totally eat in front of us. It's fine.
Thank you, Christy. I got some dinner delivered, and I might black out for a little while too.
I might have to go on Grubhub right now.
Yeah, right. The DoorDash is my favorite restaurant. It's in the back of my mind that it's there on the table.
Well, Keisha, you're new here. Did you have any questions or anything you'd like to say?
Is anybody else taking Empira, the walking pill?
I am.
How is that working for you?
You know, I think I started it 2 years ago. Well, you know, there's that year that never happened, the 2020. So everything is weird. But I think from 2019, and I couldn't really tell because I have progressive MS, so I'm progressing in a bad direction anyway. But as other people who have been here know, I'm kind of a big proponent of it now because I was like, I don't know if it's doing anything. It doesn't seem to cause any harm. So what the heck? And then at one point I stopped taking it, and I was having incontinence on both ends, and my walking was worse, and my hand strength was worse. So I called the nurse who works with the MS specialist, and she said, well, it's very short acting. So if you notice a change when you're not taking it, why don't you start taking it, and you should get results in like 3 or 4 days. And that's what happened. So I'm kind of sold on it.
I agree with you on that one. Definitely agree with you. You know, I missed the pills for like 2 or 3 days, and I thought it wasn't working, but when I didn't have them, I sure found out it is.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
sometimes I forget my night dose, and because I take that with calcium, and it's kind of like whatever, you know. But I haven't noticed that if I miss a dose. But yeah, 3 days without it, I would think, you know.
oh
And
yeah, bumping into the wall.
apparently Isn't it Michael who knew, somebody who knew that? I mean, it either works for you. Michael has the percentage of the people it works for. So it either works for you or it doesn't work.
It worked for me. Not outstanding change, but I noticed a difference in about two weeks, and it's not the cheapest drug out there. And my neurologist at the Mayo Clinic said he didn't find it useful hardly at all. I said, well, it works for me. And, but it's not the most important or biggest game-changing pill that I take. But it's the second most expensive treatment. And the company really wants me to have it. So they make sure I get it, my hands on it when I need it. In fact, I've got extras if anyone needs Empira, sulfampridine. But
Well, now there's generic because it was like $3,000 a month. And now I get my statement from Medicare or whatever, and it's only $48 a month. So it's not, at this point, it's probably one of the cheaper drugs out there.
Yeah, I think I'm paying $1,300 for my insurer is Medicare.
Can I
about
just
the
ask?
price,
I'm sorry.
I hope you stay on it, Keisha, and hope you start noticing. I mean, it doesn't work for everybody, and neurologists know that. But if it helps you at all, stay on it.
Okay, I wanted to ask Michael and Robert, how long ago were the two of you diagnosed with MS?
I was diagnosed in '97.
97?
I had my first episode in 2007. I wasn't diagnosed until this year. So, but I've had it for 07 was the first time my right side went numb.
Did anybody else have a doctor that told you it's just fibromyalgia? No.
No, I had it worse. I was told, oh, it's just anxiety.
Yes, I got
20
that.
years.
I was
20
told
years.
anxiety. I was told carpal tunnel. I was told all sorts of different stuff.
I actually had a doctor tell me that my husband was cheating on me and I just wanted attention.
You know what? I still
I
get
hope
this.
you fired that Dr. Keisha.
I've been stopped seeing him. And he was like head of oncology or something. It was to the point that I started thinking I was crazy. Maybe there is something wrong with me mentally. And come to find out after all these years, I was right. If they had just done the spinal tap like I had asked them to do,
Yeah, and
this would
I
have been
thought
easy.
I was a hypochondriac, right? I thought I was going
Yeah.
crazy because every time I went in a doctor, like nothing's wrong with you, go home, you know. And then they find that.
I thought I was just getting old, even though like it's 63, you shouldn't be tripping over your feet all the time and being incontinent. But I still get that. I feel like I'm gaslighted. I don't get it. Like how a physiatrist or even my primary, I keep saying, my cognition is a problem. I mean, you can't tell from talking to me because I'm very verbal and I got a lot and I can write, but I can't manage, and even my primary, I have like a whole note because I want to make an appointment with her because when I see my primary, she's an osteopath and she does body work. And I don't want to focus that session on all the crap of dealing with the medical system. And even she's like, well, what do you mean? And I think like, why don't people believe me that I have a problem with cognition, like memory, executive function, doing things? It's like, why do I have to convince you, the doctors? Like you would, you know,
Exactly.
someone who has a specialty of working, well, my doctor doesn't have a specialty with neurology, but she has a very special relationship with me, and she did a lot of reading and she's done a lot of stuff, and she's always wants data and she wants proof. And it's like, okay, I made a list of all the things to prove that I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago that she met. And no, it's not, mental. I mean, yeah, there's a mental component to MS. And when I first got diagnosed, somebody said, yeah, the joke in MS is it's all in your head because it is.
Yeah. I actually had a neurologist say to me, but Black people don't get MS,
Oh, yeah,
if
I
you
know.
can believe that one. And I was
I know.
like, wow.
Wow,
Mm.
really?
And
I
he's
know
a
a half,
neurologist.
I know a half a dozen Black people who get MS, who have MS. Like,
Well, you know what? If I could tell you all the things that people have said to me, um, like I said, the depression was there for a while. I had doctors who had prescriptions written for me before I even came for the visit.
wow.
Um, yeah, it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pleasant.
So Keisha, have you gotten hooked up with doctors that you feel comfortable with that listen to you and understand you?
Yes. Right
Good.
now, the neurologist that I see, he's amazing.
Awesome.
Um, and his assistant is amazing. It's just one of those things where I don't think that sometimes they realize that not only do we need you to check us physically, but also how you treat us mentally is a big deal too. Um, there's been so many, it was to the point before I even got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I was praying for cancer because at least if I had cancer, there's medication for that, there's treatment for that, but telling me it's all in my head, mm-mm.
Keisha, I have the same thing. Like, I feel like, oh, if I had cancer and things get bad, you have an exit plan, you have a way out.
Yep.
But no, you don't have cancer. Or it's like people hear you have cancer, there's all kind of support around for like where I live, Women's Cancer Resource Center. Oh, you can get like this. You have MS? Oh, well, I know someone who has MS. And that's, yeah,
It's um it's
you're,
definitely a trip. I will tell you that. It's
you're on my
definitely a
you're on my wavelength.
trip.
Maybe that's why I can't have my camera working. We're both like, I mean, I could log out and log in, but then I'm afraid I'll lose, the connection. And you don't want to see this pile of laundry I'm folding.
You know, it's just one of those, my kids actually pressed me to get in here tonight because they're like, Mom, we don't understand. And I actually said to one of my aunties yesterday, if I knew what my mom was really going through, maybe, just maybe, I don't know if I could have been more prepared, if I would have done more, but as dismissive as some of the doctors have been of me, I was kind of dismissive of my mom, so it's one of those that what goes around comes around,
Did your
you know.
mom, I came on late and a few of us have come on late. Did your mom have MS or you're referring to?
No, my mom had diabetes, high blood pressure, Bell palsy. And when I look back on everything, I'm like, I'm looking at my family. There have been a lot of nerve issues in my family. And I really do think fibromyalgia is just a precursor. If you have fibromyalgia, that means something else is going on. Look into it. Don't let them tell you there's nothing wrong with you. So,
I don't know if siblings have anything to do with it, but my sister's got amyloidosis. My brother has gout, and I got MS. So
my grandmother had gout.
I don't know if gout's an immune disorder as well, but I know amyloidosis is a protein deficiency, developing I don't know, clusters of proteins in your bloodstream, something along those lines.
I will say I was pretty fortunate in the fact that when I was diagnosed, gosh, I think about 2003 is when I was diagnosed. And I was at work and I was trying to write. And then all of a sudden I couldn't even grab my pen. It just fell out of my hands. So I went to my primary and I was explaining the symptoms to him. He's like, I think we need to get you an MRI. And I said, why? And he said, I think you might have MS. And, you know, I'm no stranger to MS because I have family members that have MS. So I knew what it was all about. So I went, had my MRI. I was fortunate enough to be referred by my primary to a neurologist whom I'm still seeing today, that he specializes in MS. So when I went in for the results, he showed me the brain scan, he showed me where all the lesions were. He said, yeah, you definitely have MS. And so I was fortunate in the fact that I didn't go through all the hoops that I'm hearing on here, that there was disbelief on what was going on. Yeah, I have people who are in my life that are like, there's no way you have MS. And I'm like, you want to bet? I'll show you my brain. We'll have that discussion. So, but a lot of people don't understand MS. So it's hard for them to have that empathy and to know what you're going through. And a lot of it is internal. And I know that for a fact because I daily have battles with my emotions, with my memory, with just everything internally. It's just been recently that I've had the physical kind of problems, but they're not really huge problems. It's just, but they are to me. I don't know. But yeah, I think I'm very fortunate about when I got diagnosed.
Although I kind of like the fact that I wasn't diagnosed in 2007 when I first had my first attack, because it allowed me to be ignorant, right? And just live without care, without knowing, you know? And then once I found out, everything changed, you know?
I can second that. I felt the same way, that if had I known, it just would have, yeah, it wouldn't have changed anything other than they probably would have put me on Rituxan. And then during the pandemic, I would be confined to my house to never see anybody. But yeah, in a certain way, it was almost better not to know. But Keisha, when you get told it's this and it's that, you know, that's just.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get referred to a neurologist, and first he thought it was a brain tumor. It's not a brain tumor. Let's do an MRI with contrast. Okay. Well, then he did a whole workup for MS, and after studying diseases I didn't have, I thought, why should I study about MS if I don't have it? But I did look into all the different tests, and there are like 50 different tests that could be done. And there was only one he didn't do, which was called evoked potentials, but he did all the others, so I felt confident that I was getting the right direction. And then he said, no, I think you have myelitis. You don't have MS. And it wasn't until I went to a specialist after a whole other ordeal. She said, you have MS. You have these positive oligoclonal bands. Like, I would know what that means. You know, positive sounds good. And, you know, I couldn't believe he didn't. How could you not notice? Because, well, I was looking for relapse and remission. It's like, but I'm like, in my late 60s. Why would you be looking for a disease that affects people in their 20s? And then he was abusive after that. And of course, I never went back to see him. And now no one can go see him because he dropped dead at work recently. So,
things happen. The first doctor that I saw, when I tell you the tests that I went through people give me electric shocks. Um, I well, I just went through a lot of tests, and one thing that come out of it, they got me hooked on drugs. I'll tell you that. I haven't done drugs like when I was growing up, and I end up getting hooked on pharmaceutical drugs. So I'm like, to me, there's no difference in pill pushers, either on the street or at the doctor's office. And my primary at the time, he helped me get off because I really thought I was going to have to go be sent away someplace because of all the medication I took. I mean, I took at least 12 Vicodins a day, at least, and that's not counting the muscle relaxers, the lidocaine patches, and all this stuff that I was on. I had the fentanyl patch. It's amazing I did not die with the amount of fentanyl that was in my system. And it just so happens that this time I was a bus driver, and I could not curl my toes in my left foot. And when I called my doctor, they instructed me to go to the emergency room because she thought I was having a stroke. And I really do think the only reason why they also know I had an MS at that time, one of the doctors who was on call that day, her father has MS. And she was talking to my daughter, and she was like, we're just going to run a few more tests. And then that's when everything came back MS. So,
How'd you get off the narcotics?
my primary at the time, it was uncomfortable, but he weaned me off. And believe it or not, what actually happened, my husband died. And when my husband died, you really don't have a whole lot of time to be feeling sorry for yourself. I had 3 children I had to take care of. My oldest just graduated from high school. And I would say within maybe 3 months or so after my husband died, I wasn't taking any of that stuff that they had me on. My doctor had got me down from about 5 pills taken 2 times a day with the fentanyl patch being changed every other day. Um, all that just kind of stopped because I guess my mind was on something else. My pain was not something I could think of.
Wow.
And here I am today.
How's your pain now?
Well, I also have medicinal marijuana. So to tell you that feels amazing is an understatement. Um, but just sometimes I do have breakthrough pain after I take my medications and everything. And the best way for me to deal with it is just to go to sleep. You can't feel pain in your sleep, so.
That's an
Well,
incredible.
your story is, you're not alone with the opioid stuff. I had a boyfriend who died a couple of years. Well, he died quite a while now, but he same thing. They put him on Ativan. They put him on all these things, and he had an ileostomy when he was 15, and so he always would come up with something to go to the ER to get a shot of Demerol or to get something. But he's like, he wasn't a drinker. He was a musician. I mean, half the musicians I know more get together just so they can get loaded. Like, he never wanted to get loaded. And then it was just like, oh, well, it did. And I didn't want to tell people, our friends, because I realized he was addicted. Once he got diagnosed with cancer, they just opened the candy store and gave him, I couldn't keep up with it. I'm a nurse, and I couldn't keep up with all the narcotics. They gave him the Vicodin, the Percodan, the morphine, the da-da-da-da-da. And, you know, I knew he wasn't going to be here that much longer and that, you know, solving an addiction problem wasn't the priority. But at the time, because he died in 2014, nobody was talking about opioid addiction. So it's you're always blamed. You know, it's your fault. You didn't. You could have. You should have. Oh, you know, you didn't. You know, it's just about willpower. You know, and now you're hearing about it all the time. And I felt like relieved, like, oh, I could tell people, oh, you know, he was addicted to opioids from the time he was 15. So yeah, pill pushing.
If I tell you the stuff they had me on, I know grown men who could not deal with the stuff they had me on. And it was at the point, I'm like, what, 90 pounds or something? And they're giving me the type of stuff you would give a grown man who's a football player. It was just, you know, it was just medicating. I felt like it was one of those, just go away, here you go. Like I was pill seeking, and that's what they thought. So they wrote me the prescription so they could just say, okay, here you go. This will keep you quiet. And I honestly do think maybe if they had caught it early enough, I would not be as bad as I am today. And so, I mean, it's August. I'm walking around in a full-length triple goose coat because I'm feeling chills. You know?
The diagnosis,
So,
everything. And 10 years before I was
well, I'm
diagnosed,
happy I found y'all.
I was having
I'm
my,
sorry.
yeah.
It's good to have you on here as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike.
And
So I
Go
can
ahead.
definitely say I just started in June when, you know, granted it's only the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, but you know, it's nice to talk to people who understand what I'm going through, and it actually helps lift up my spirits. So we're glad you joined as well. We hope you continue to come.
Yeah.
And as far as family, you know, I'm going to tell everybody a secret. I mean, it's not really a secret, but a friend of mine, she watches these talks that we have. You know, she goes online and says, I just have one friend who does that. And she loved it when Frank was talking about the chickens or the roosters, and everybody started talking about dogs. So she'll say, oh, you know, it was really interesting. Everybody changed how they are. But I feel like she's the only person who gets what's going on. She reminds me things I forget. She goes, well, you know, that's part of it, the moods and the emotional and all that. So, you know, I don't know if your family would find it interesting, but I'm always surprised because I think my friend, she's not very tech savvy, but I think YouTube just knows she watches this. So they go, hey, do you know there was another session?
That's good.
Mike, I
yeah,
know we touched on your neuralgia pain earlier, but I don't think we finished that. Did you want to continue on that or had anything else you wanted to?
Well, I just want to ask the group if anyone else has been diagnosed, whatever, with trigeminal neuralgia. They say it. Now, I've never read this before. That it affects your face. And with me, my hair. If somebody comes along, touches my scalp. It's not. I won't say it hurts, but I can feel it. It's a matter of degree of pain and what you can tolerate. I've never been in pain. I've been MS for 25 or 30 years, been diagnosed for 24. And I've never been in pain, which I'm grateful about. Now, this thing apparently is quite painful and it may never go away. They're intermittent or 5 times an hour, or or chronic. So I will report back to everyone periodically on what's going on, but definitely something new. And that's what keeps me on my toes, actually, is knowing that I have progressive and things are going to not get really too much better for me. So live life while you can and get the most out of each week or whatever. I put my own spin on it because it's my gig and it's whatever I make of it.
Now,
you all have the same experience.
yeah.
Opportunity for it, for better or for worse, and hopefully we all have a good attitude.
Yeah.
Michael, I hadn't ever connected the pain I'm having to trigeminal neuralgia, because I always just thought that was supposed to be a really intense pain. But feel like I'm going through something similar that you are, and I kind of refer to it as a headache of 1,000 tiny pains. Like, they're not so intense, but the volume of the different places that feel the pain just kind of makes it really overwhelming. And it goes up and it goes down. It started with a kind of numbness and a tingling, and it's kind of taken over, and it's not, I haven't had another relapse. It happened independent of new lesions. So the neurologist didn't really know what to call it. I think it's just my brainstem lesion aging. But yeah, it can get intense. I use medical marijuana to take the edge off of it, but for me, the way that helps with pain is just helping my body not to tense up in response to pain.
Mhm.
I still feel the pain, but like my body doesn't like.
When you guys say headaches, what do you mean by headaches? Do you mean like a pain in your head? Do you mean a long-term pain or something that would just like pop up and it's there for like maybe 2 minutes and then it disappears as quickly as it comes?
Well, sometimes it can hang around all day. Sometimes it can be sharp, intense pain. Sometimes it's just, my head will get very tender, like hypersensitivity at different spots on my head, like almost feeling like the skull is gone and I'm actually touching my brain. It really varies, and it will be physically tender to the touch, and it will be sometimes it'll just kind of be like a low hum in the background. And some days I don't really notice it very much at all, like it's died down. Okay.
What I find is that the spots on my head, it moves around, and I've identified where it is, and there's 5 or 6 spots, and one of them is deeper inside my head than the others. I don't know if it's deeper in my brain or just a sensation of it being a layer or two deeper than the surface. Most of these things, and they refer to the headaches or whatever we experience as an attack, like a MS attack, and neurologist isn't sure it's related to MS or just blood vessel loop around, took a wrong turn around my brain stem. It's been sitting on that and causing this reaction. I should be able to figure that out in the next couple of weeks after I get a new MRI. Nothing that's gonna make a difference, but we'll know what to call it.
If my mom was alive, she would say I was always hard-headed. So me saying that I would have a pain in my head, she'd be like, "Girl, that's just your head." But when I do get the headaches, it's like how I'm talking to you all right now. Just all of a sudden, in the middle of a word, I would get this really sharp pain, but they never last for more than a minute or two. And I was like, oh, I didn't know anybody else with MS had headaches. I thought maybe that was just me. I mean, the way they trained me into thinking that so much of this was just me, it's all in my head, it's kind of weird for me to hear other people talking about things that I'm like, okay, I knew I wasn't crazy. I mean, I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. It's funny how that works to the point where like my mom had TIAs a lot. And I really want my children to be tested because I figured the earlier they find out what's wrong with them, well, if there's something wrong with them, what it is, the sooner they can start treating it and it won't get as bad as the MS is for me. Are those potato chips? I'm sorry, I'm just craving salt right now.
No, it was my laundry bag. I'm sorry, I'm turning off the mic.
No, I just want some potato chips. Okay. It's only thing I can say, it's been a very long journey. And when I found the doctor I have now, if the man could wear wings, I would swear he was an angel because he might not agree and co-sign on everything, but he listens to me. And that's a big thing of it too. He listens to me.
That's wonderful. Where are you? What state?
I'm Long Island, New York.
Okay. That's good.
And it's funny because I thought everybody was going to be from Long Island, New York. That we would all kind of be
says it right.
Yeah.
I knew right away New Yorker, but like Long Island, you have to be from Long Island to say it that way.
Well, you know what? Maybe if I said, not for nothing, you would have known. Definitely Long Island. So I don't know. I kind of feel with a lot of things, I'm really happy that I'm a spiritual person. And I've convinced myself that God has given me MS because he knows I have a big mouth and I'm going to talk about it until the day I die. Make sure everybody else knows, go get checked out. If this doctor is not helping you, find another one. And so
I have the same thing. See, like New Yorker, it's good to have another New Yorker because, there's a lot of people from the Midwest here and there. They have a little hard time with my edge, with that New York edge.
well, I don't know if I can do anything about that, but I'm New York to the bone, believe it.
It's an attitude, it's just an attitude.
Yeah, of course it is.
Frank, what?
Sorry about that.
Well, we feel sorry for you too.
As long as it's not Jersey, we cool. That's how New Yorkers feel. As long as you ain't from Jersey, we all right.
Frank, you're not Canadian. You're not supposed to apologize.
Oh, I'll apologize. I just don't have to mean it.
I
You
think
know
the
what?
only
This was really nice to laugh because there has not been a whole lot of laughter. Because no, there hasn't been a whole lot of laughter. I've had people actually think I was drunk when I was out in public sometimes.
Because of how you walk?
Yes. And it's like, I wish I had something to drink. Maybe it would make everything a little bit better. But, you know, it's amazing how people can be so dismissive of others. You know, you don't want anybody to roll out a red carpet for you, but you just want somebody to listen and not dismiss you.
I can
You know, that
second
was,
that. I have the same. That's like, Keisha, you're like mirroring all my issues of the week, of the month. Like, it's just, and then I feel like giving up about a lot of things, and then I go, no, I can write. I'm gonna talk about what's going on and what's going on with healthcare and how challenging it is and how, that's my usefulness.
wow. This
you
has
know, I was
helped
so
me more than I
spoiled.
thought it would.
I was just gonna say when you're talking about healthcare, Karen, I was so spoiled because I was at Mayo Clinic last week and everything was so slick and I was just like, wow, COVID hasn't really affected this sector yet, and it was just so wonderful.
Really?
Oh, I felt so spoiled beyond.
And
I had
where
my in the morning and my neuropsychologist, and I had my neurologist in the afternoon, and he had all the results, and it was boom, 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 and it was
where are
super
you
smooth.
going? Where do
Mayo
you go?
Clinic in Rochester. I go to
Oh,
Minnesota.
where's Rochester? You think we know? New Yorker. I'm in California, but
I know
coastal people.
that's why I had to add the Minnesota part on
Oh,
because
okay.
I didn't want to confuse the New Yorker and you.
Well,
You
that's
kind of
you're
got it.
lucky, and that's amazing because my doctor. I have the same experience. My doctor really is great with me. She's really, really great, and I have a lot of different providers, and she's very private. Most of my providers, I don't know. I know things about them. They just tell me, and I thought this is my primary. She's been my primary for 3 years. She's so attentive to me, and I asked her. I said, I don't even know. Are you married? Or I didn't even want to use the word partner. I thought, well, that might freak her out. And she's like, well, I'm very private. I said, I know, but like, I don't even know, I don't know that. And she said, I have a partner. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't ask boy or girl. And then I was like, oh, so you don't live alone? And she said, no, not anymore. And that was like, and I thought I'll never bring that up again because she's just really, I'm very private. But while she was doing this treatment on me, and it's usually like a half an hour appointment, but she spent an hour doing, I don't know, adjustments to my body, and she does energy work, and she does all this stuff. And then I'm kind of blown away. And she said that she's really that COVID has made a lot of people rethink things, and that she's even thinking of leaving. I'm like, no. But a lot of people, so I look because I live in California. I do have to admit, Keisha, I live in California, but I am still a New Yorker. But
No matter where you go, New York is New York. Go ahead, though.
so and I go to Kaiser, which is the largest health plan around, and it's supposed to be not for profit. I just found out that the guy who he died, I think he was making 16 million a year. So if you ever wonder, and that's for the nonprofit. That's not, I don't know, is Mayo Clinic nonprofit? So 16 million is the going rate for nonprofit. It's like 20 to 60 million a year for the for-profit. So every time you make that premium payment, that 80% of it is going to, who, the top. But my doctor, I was shocked that she said that. And she said, well, this is what I really want to do, which is why she spent an hour with me, doing, seeing like what she knows as an osteopath is more, so I looked up and they're like 60% of people who work in healthcare are thinking of leaving. So yeah, you're lucky, Kim. Very lucky.
Well, we were talking about my mom might need knee surgery, and with the current situation in Des Moines, I would never want her to go to the hospital and get surgery here. It's like Mayo Clinic's a pain in the butt because it's almost 3 hours away, but right now I feel more comfortable going to Mayo Clinic and doing it. So I will stay in the hotel and help you recover as long as we need because I feel more comfortable than that. And I get confirmation from people working in the hospitals here, like it is a blank show right now in the hospitals, so don't get sick. And
Yeah.
I'm like, so yeah, but they do get affected. Like my mom's appointments, we have to go back up there like 3 times because she needs all these consults and stuff, and they can't do them all right in a row because of everything. And they had to triage a couple places before they let her in to see if they thought that she was acceptable because they're having issues. But still, on the grand scheme of things, totally phenomenal, totally lucky. I'm completely blown away, and I'm just so grateful. And not a lot of people can experience that right now. And I was very lucky, still very lucky. So, and then whoever wasn't on the call before, no new activity in this brain. Boring, very boring right now.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, thank
So
you.
even though there's no activity, see, like my brain doesn't, well, I haven't had an MRI in a while, but it didn't show activity, but my loss of brain function is obvious to me. So do you have that too? Does it necessarily correlate?
No, it doesn't necessarily correlate. They gave me 2 years ago on my 40th birthday, I had this 7 Tesla MRI. So the normal Tesla, the normal strength of the magnet's like 3 or 3.5, and this was 7. And I think there's only 2 of them in the world that can do that. And so he got a really good picture of my brain, and yeah, he saw some stuff in there that you can't normally see, but no, my biggest issues is the heat sensitivity and the issues dealing with perimenopause and the heat and humidity, which is thankfully the heat and humidity aspect's going away. Perimenopause is staying, but there was also really, if anyone wants to, I found on one of the MS groups on Facebook, there was a great webinar from this Australian doctor about menopause, and she also talks about MS that I've listened to, and it was actually really, really insightful. If anyone is interested in that, I'll put that in the chat. If not, I won't search it down, but
I'm so
It's
over
funny
that.
that you said the menopause, because I was going to ask that question of the ladies. Am I the only one who's going through menopause? You see me fanning myself. One minute I'm burning up, next minute I'm too cold. And I wondered also, it's like, oh, well, maybe this is making this happen, and it's just. I had this T-shirt that I was wearing yesterday. It says, "I am a mystic mess." Yeah, I think that just about explains it all.
I never had menopause, so for some good reason, I didn't have it.
You
I
just rubbing our faces in it, aren't you? No, I'm just kidding.
never had any of the symptoms, so
Keisha, you weren't on this phone call, but my husband came up with a new term this summer with me because I started the menopause symptoms earlier this spring. It's called heat drunk. So now when I go outside, I start walking funny, I start talking funny, I have problems understanding, comprehending, like, and that was never an issue for me. But with the hot heat problem with the perimenopause plus the heat and humidity outside, boom, major issues. So, and I my cognition got so bad in the summer, I had to drop down to reading children's books, like to 8 to 12-year-olds. So like Laura Ingalls Wilde, A Little House on the Prairie books. That's what I was reading because I couldn't understand anything higher than that. So
Okay, because I watch Sesame Street sometimes, and at first I was feeling bad that I'm watching cartoons, but the way things are in the world right now, cartoons make the most sense. They really do.
you ever
Um,
have to watch things on closed captioning? Most of the time when I
everything,
watch stuff, I watch on closed
everything,
captioning. Okay, yeah,
everything,
Oh,
everything is supposed. My kids hate it, and I'm like, get over it. Um,
yes.
it's just, how can you say? one thing I can definitely say, at least it's not boring. People can tell me I'm a bit much at times, but never say I'm boring, you know. But you were talking about the heat. Does the heat bother you?
It did not previously that much. And then this year with the plus the perimenopause, I was having massive issues. So when walking my dog on flat land, no hills, I could walk her like 8 houses and back. That was it. And then I got a cooling vest in July, and that helped a lot. I could walk like 1 to 2 blocks with her, the heat humidity. But yeah, huge issues in my fatigue and it was really weird because like in 4th of July, I'm at my parents' house and my mom keeps it like in the low to mid 60s in the house. So it's cold. And I'm in there and I'm fine. As soon as I get outside, I'm like a completely different person. I come back inside, I cool off, I'm back to normal. And it was just, I've never seen it shift that quickly in that short span of time, which was quite an eye opener for me.
Well, growing up in Florida, the heat really affected it.
hmm
It does.
In a bad way or good way?
Bad way.
Really?
Yeah.
And if you go on the old videos of me in the summer, you would see me wearing a winter hat in the summer inside because I was freezing. True story. Frank and Jen can vouch on that one. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing wearing a winter hat? It's the middle of summer. Like, I'm cold.
I've seen you
Because
in
I'm
your.
trying to figure. Everybody seems to think that heat's a bad thing, but for me, heat has been a savior for me with the pain. Because at first we thought it was just my back. Um, before we found out that it was MS, and I'm driving. Every car that I had to have heated seats. If there weren't heated seats, even when I was driving my bus, I had to go and buy a heated seat, a heated pad. Between that and Salon Pass, you would think that I had stock in Salon Pass or the Thermopatch because I use so much of them. And so because even my neurologist was surprised. He was like, "The heat doesn't bother you?" And I told him, "No, the heat actually relaxes me." And so,
I got a couple of things I need to ask.
Keisha, how many neurologists have you seen in the last 10 years? Sounds like a lot.
in the last 10 years, I saw 2. Then I also saw one before, the one who was writing me all those prescriptions before he even saw me. And then they had me doing pain management therapy, and they also made sure I had a lot of pills, and the TENS machines and everything. And there's but so much shocking you can go through before you're like this. Even if the shocking was working, you're like, I'm not trying to get shocked again.
Have you been diagnosed, Keisha? When they gave you all that?
Yes, and I got diagnosed in 2018 with the MS, but before then, they diagnosed me for 20 years. They were telling me, well, 20 plus years, that it was fibromyalgia. And I think that some of the doctors were just saying that because they thought it sounded nice. And so
Sorry to learn that, but
it's been a ride. That's all I can say about it. It has been a ride to the point where you don't eat because all you do, you wake up to take your pills to end up going back to sleep, and then you wake up to take your pills. That was my life for a very good time. Like I had people who've never known me not to be high because I was taking so many pills. So
I got a couple of things.
glad you're still alive, Keisha.
I'm sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you're still alive.
So what are your couple of
And
things, Frank?
May not be able to do that.
I need to get, Mickey, what's your last name?
Alderman.
And could I get Mickey and Keisha's email addresses
Absolutely.
and put them in the chat box?
Absolutely. Do you want them? How do you want me to send it to you?
Just put them in the chat box.
Okay, I'm gonna have one of the kids come downstairs and show me how to do that.
Well, okay, tell me what it is and I'll write it down.
Well, this should also tell you a little history of who I was before everything got bad. It's K Wood, P as in Paul, T as in Tom, A as in Apple at yahoo.com.
KWPA?
No, K as in Keisha, W O D as in David, P as in Paul, T as in Tom, and A as in Apple at yahoo.com.
And Keisha, Frank is not, he's asking you that so that we can send you email reminders about the meetings, because we all have multiple sclerosis and it can get a little dicey to remember when we're meeting. So if you get the email reminders, that helps. And Tim, how are you doing? I've been seeing your face, but I haven't heard. How are you doing?
Well, hey there, everybody. I'm doing okay. You're not watching me do work. That's not happening.
No, no.
Okay.
Of course not. I'd never be working at 9:47 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time for the government. I would never do that.
No.
No, I'm okay. I'm learning. This past week and a half has been really good, learning about Aubagio and what it's doing and how it deals with the immune system. One of my girls came home not this past Friday before, with kind of a cough, maybe a cold. Got her tested for COVID, got the other daughter tested for COVID. Everyone's negative for that. That's fine. But as soon as she came home with it, boom, I got it. And it hit me pretty good. And I still, part of what I was drinking earlier is some cold and flu stuff. Mixed with Mountain Dew. I'm not recommending this to anybody. It's just what I do. But I'm noticing that, yeah, the having a cold and stuff like that, I catch it. Well, this is the first time since I've been on Baggio. I catch it quicker and it's lasting longer. So I'm just trying to pump up the vitamin C as much as possible and rock it out that way. But I'm just pressing on, just doing what I can do. And kicking butt at work and taking names and not working at 9:48 p.m.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's good to hear. Yeah.
Did you see my article in Momentum? Anybody?
Yes. Yes.
I saw it before you emailed it. I haven't read it yet, but I recognized the picture and the name.
Well, yeah, there was that was a 20-year-old picture, so,
You might want to update time, come on. Don't you looking better as the years go on? Come on.
No, I kind of like the way I looked 20 years ago.
So what's the article?
About advocacy work for the MS Society.
Okay.
Is Momentum part of the MS Society?
It is the MS Society's magazine.
I mean, I get a few magazines, and then I don't know. I don't really track which is which.
It's the MS Society's quarterly magazine.
Okay.
Yeah, it only took a year for him to do that.
Well, good job. So, Mickey, this is the first time you're joining us. Are there any questions or anything that you wanted to know about? I know we talked about your hands, but is there anything else that?
No, what really amazes me is how many people I meet that have MS. I didn't realize when I was diagnosed with it how many people out there actually have it.
They're saying that there's close to 1 million people in the United States diagnosed with MS.
So I just am so happy to be in a chat group because every one that I've looked at is because of the COVID, it's been canceled. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, my daughter found this for me and she says, just try it, just see. So it's my first time here and that's what I really like.
Well, that's good. And Keisha, how about yourself? I mean, was there anything more for like the first time that you wanted to know about, or because a lot of us have been here before, so not picking on you specifically, but
No, it's I I can't really think of anything. I thought I was going to participate by listening today, not talking. See how that worked out.
it's
Um,
awesome that you
but
talk.
let me tell you, it's just this whole thing. I'm just, it just is what it is. It is what it is, and I'm not as bad. It's funny because with the fibromyalgia, I could actually stick my hand into an oven. The medication they had me on, when I tell you I felt no pain, it's amazing. Without oven gloves on, I could stick my hand in the oven and pull out a pan.
Ouch.
And I had severed my nerves in my hand because my hand went straight down a knife one time. I was splitting a chicken. And I didn't even know until my daughter said, Mom, you're bleeding. So, but me minding all of this stuff that I was talking about, the doctors were telling me it's all in my head and I just wanted attention. You know, I just hope that as time goes on, doctors go back to taking care of the mind and the body and the spirit, not just the body. You know, unfortunately for me, I have a neurologist that gets it.
That's good. Yeah.
So, but y'all will see me again next week. I can tell you that.
We
Yeah.
won't be here next week. We meet on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month.
Well,
So
you know that. Yeah,
FYI
my
on that.
daughter, she has it. Yeah,
Yeah, and
Faith
don't get
knows.
messed up when there's a fifth Tuesday. We don't meet on the fifth Tuesday. So I made that air once. So
Second and fourth.
yeah.
So yeah, second and
Rick,
fourth.
Rick
Okay.
knows how to find you, Keisha.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
I said, Rick Davis knows how to find you, and he won't let go until you come to.
We got your email address.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Did we
very
get,
much. I do appreciate that very much.
did we get an email address for Mickey? If you'd like a reminder, Mickey.
I get them. For some reason I'm in the,
Oh, you do get them.
yeah, I do get them.
Yeah, she's emailed you before.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. Okay. I was going to say that I did read the article on you, Frank. I think I've dropped you a line,
You did.
and it was very impressive. And we're going to blog it out. I sent it to Alexa so we can blog it out. I learned something today because I was writing a blog post on the CDMRP. Frank, you may know what the CDMRP is, the Department of Defense.
The congressionally directed medical
Structure
program.
Yeah.
I did it one year.
Yeah.
And we have a guy who just finished his first session, and from the prostate cancer group, we've got at least 2 other people. And so he had written something on it that we wanted to put into the blog. And I wanted to send it out to everybody. And I also wanted to check the conditions. And I see that MS has a budget from the CDMRP. So I was wondering if any of you have ever been consumer reviewers. You have, Frank, huh?
Yeah, I was on the review board one year. Let me tell you what, you get over your head real easy in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking real, you got to be real technically medical to do a good job in there. I was impressed.
Rick, can you say again what it is? You know, this is a group of people with brain, you know, impairment.
It's
Well,
called the Multiple Sclerosis Research Project, and it's part of the Department of Defense Medical Research Program, CDMRP.
What's the C?
congressional.
Congressional,
Oh, congressional.
Congressional. Go ahead, Frank.
It's good. You're presuming I even know what a Congress is, but I do.
It's your government, Karen. It's money from the government, which is it's intended to help people living with chronic illnesses or diseases. And that money is earmarked to help research or to do programs to help the people living with multiple sclerosis. Did not know that about cancer, Rick. So that's good information. Thanks.
So it stands for Congressionally Directed Medical Research Programs. If you go to, thank you, Kim. If you go, first of all, if you're not signed up for our blog, please sign up because you would have gotten the post. And you go to our website and under resources, you can go to blog. But right now, if you go to even our homepage, AnCan.org, and scroll down to recent news, it's right there. I'm gonna put the link in the chat window right now. Keisha, the chat window on your screen, Keisha, there's a little speech bubble in the top right-hand corner. And if you see that little like speech bubble and click on it, there's all kinds of comments on the side, and you can write dirty notes to people privately, but you have to be careful that everyone doesn't see them. Or you can send notes to everyone if you want to.
Oh, Rick, are you going to share some of your embarrassing moments?
It's happened too many times. But there's the link to the post, and I mean the guy who did it talks a little bit about the process. I think it's probably the same, no matter what the condition. I also put a link in there so you can see how many different conditions they address. And the budget, I don't know what the budget is for MS. For prostate cancer, it was about $100 million last year.
Well, it's a man's disease. Oh yeah, we got to take care of the men.
Well, I don't.
You know what? And I thought I was the only one thinking that.
No, I don't think that's right, Karen, because we get about $50 million less than breast cancer. So I think you'll find that is not exactly how they think.
EMS is $16 million.
16, yeah. You know, every year we get asked to write to our representatives to lobby for money. I'm sure you guys do too in the MS community.
Yes, sir, we do.
And this money all goes for research. And what these reviewers are doing is they are reviewing the research proposals. And some of them are pretty technical, way above our heads, but then they have some areas which are less technical. So But we've been on their case for years that we feel that prostate cancer should get at least as much as breast cancer gets, and it hasn't happened. I actually think they said 100. I actually think, if I'm thinking about it, there's 120 versus 150. I think I read earlier this year. So it's a good program. It's a good program.
It's a good program
Why is it connected to the Department of Defense?
because the Department of Defense looks at all the military people and says, what kind of diseases are military
Yeah,
members getting?
exactly.
That's what's driving.
Yeah. And they even have some categories. I think there's even an Agent Orange category.
Yes, there is. My dad, I've been telling my dad for years about that. And they're finally saying that there was some evidence that he has been exposed or whatever. And not to be mean or anything, I'm like, Dad, that's because they know they don't have to pay you for all these years. They know probably in the next 10 years, you're going to be gone. So, yeah, there are a lot of people. Yeah, there are a lot of people that, it's the whole thing when you think about the pharmaceutical companies and medicines, it's all the addiction stuff that I see a lot of it is because the prescriptions were first given by doctors, and then it becomes a little too expensive to keep up with the doctor's prescriptions, and that's why people go elsewhere. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, fortunately, I haven't had to go that route, but I do know quite a few people who have. And it's scary because what does they say there, but for the grace of God go I. So has anybody
Anyway,
thought about stem cell research?
so repeat that, Keisha.
I was just wondering if anybody thought about stem cell research for the MS.
I've read some articles on the stem cell research, and it makes me question a lot of it. It's just like there was one article that I read that introducing stem cell to help rebuilding the myelin sheeting that's around your nerve endings. And then I think to myself, yeah, that would be great. However, what's going to stop the bad white blood cells that attack your myelin? What's going to stop those to quit doing that? It's like all you're doing is feeding fresh myelin to the white blood or white blood cells. So it's kind of I understand it, but at the same time, I'm just like, this seems like a very expensive route to try. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on it.
I did a lot of just personal research on it when I first got diagnosed, and people were like, well, Karen, you're strong, you can fight this, there's alternatives, what else is out there? And so I looked into it, and they were doing it in Israel, they were doing it in Russia, and doing it in Pueblo, Mexico. And I was like, well, I'm fluent in Hebrew, I'd go there. I mean, let's forget the money thing. And then I'd go to Pueblo. I wouldn't go to Russia. And I have a friend who's Russian. She goes, I would. But I read all these blogs of these people who were going to go get stem cell treatment. And they're like, I'm being reborn, especially this one woman in Israel. She did video blogs, and I'm being reborn. And this is, I'm going to do this. And I was so disgusted. That particular woman is from Long Island. And she lost her legs. All of her teeth are gone. It's like, oh, okay. yuck. And then, I just read, I kept up with a few of these blogs. It was all, I'm going to Pueblo, Mexico. I'm all excited. This is gonna, and nobody has said, and now I'm better. It was all like, egads. Anyway, that was my personal research from like 2 years ago.
Okay.
I asked my
Um,
doctor a couple years ago about it, and he said he had sent people to go do it. I think it was like at Stanford or something, maybe somewhere else, but he only did that with patients that were really severe. And I was not anywhere near where he thought I would need stem cell. So
It's really a very dangerous procedure.
Mm.
um, and I understand what you're saying, but sometimes when you get desperate, danger doesn't really factor into your decisions. Um, like within this summer, I went from what just in this summer alone, I went from having to walk with a cane to walking with a walker to if I'm out of my house, I have to be in a wheelchair. That was a very rapid decline. You know, I've cut the sugar out my diet. I don't smoke as many cigarettes as I used to. I'm like down to 2 cigarettes a day. Um, and actually, the marijuana has helped me stop smoking the cigarettes. But I'm up here thinking about pimping out my wheelchair. Put some glitter on there, make it look all pretty and ribbons and bells and stuff. And my kids are like, you will not do that, Mom. But I'm like, if this little thing makes me happy, why not?
Absolutely. That's your independence. That's your mobility, Keisha.
Yeah, I'm the type of person that'll take a handful of glitter and throw it in the air. You know, let's stop an argument. I'll just throw glitter at you and be like, glitter,
There you go.
so.
So
But
one thing I just wanted to mention to the ladies who were complaining about hot flashes and heat regulation. We have been testing out a gizmo that goes on your wrist called EMBR, EMBR Wave. I put it earlier on in the chat window. A lot of men who have advanced prostate cancer are on hormone therapy, so they suffer all the same symptoms as menopause, and some of these men are swearing by this gizmo. It has a night setting, it has a day setting, but it has really, really helped them both with hot and cold. So, even if you're cold, it heats you up. And I don't exactly know how it works, but there is a trial. It's approved. You can get them right now, and I think the women are getting them. The guys who are in this trial were given them, but I just want to mention it to you because it might be worth checking out if you're having any issues. And I'm vouching for them. I mean, I just see not all the guys, but most of the guys are really, really finding some relief. And I had hot flashes, so I know about it. I was on hormone therapy for 28 months, and it is rotten. I get it.
Well,
but
I
it
can.
also lets people know to leave you alone too when they see you break a sweat. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, yeah, you should be. So
I
You know,
don't
you gotta
sweat
use what
though.
you get.
I'm just hot. I kind of wish I would sweat because it would cool me off. I just wake up, I'm just
Yes.
hot. I don't
right.
sweat.
But Kim, this gizmo has a night setting where it can sense it, and then it corrects it and stops it before it comes on. And one of the issues that a lot of people don't realize is that when you have these hot flashes through the night, a lot of the time you don't even know they're waking you up. So you wake up feeling exhausted because your sleep's been interrupted so many times, but you don't know why.
Well, I can contest that, when I am overheated or extremely cold, if I go and run my wrists under hot or cold water. If I need to cool myself off, cold water. If I need to warm myself up, warm water, hot water. It changes my
Yeah.
everything in my body. It's like an automatic response. So if there's something that
I'll put it in again for you, Christy, but go check them out. I know you can buy them online. They keep coming out with newer, smaller, better ones compared to, say, even 3 months ago. But this thing does work. It really does. EMBR
okay,
Wave.
I'll definitely have to check it out because there's times when I'm not near a faucet and I'm like overheating or I'm freezing. I'm mainly cold more than overheating. But just anything to help with it. Like right now I'm freezing. Like I've got the internal shakes because I'm so cold.
Well, check it out and let us know, but it might bring you some relief.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like we were talking about menopause earlier, and I'm like, bring it on, because you know what? If there's something that can make me warm and regulate my temperature, and it's all because of menopause, I welcome it. And everybody's like,
Be careful what you ask for.
I know.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
No, I know, but I'm just like, just bring it on. Just give me some heat. Give me some warmth. Give me a little bit more, like, so I'm not so cold all the time. My husband always tells me, he goes, you know why you're cold? And I was like, why? He's like, cold people, cold heart. And I'm like, you're so mean.
I hope you like kicked him out the bed in his sleep then. Really. You know something? I'm actually getting ready to order, those pillows that they have women who are pregnant sleeping with around them. It's like a big cocoon. Because since I was a little girl, my dad always tucked me in like that and, tucking the sheets and everything on the mattress. So I'm going to get this pillow because I'm thinking it might just help. I mean, it can't hurt, you know?
Absolutely.
If it works, I'll let y'all know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to leave you guys. You use the room as long as you want, and I guess I'll see you all again in early October. We've got a little bit of work to do with that, with Jen or Kim for the urology webinar at the end of November, but I'll drop you a note on that. Nothing too complicated.
Okay.
Well, good night. It looks like everybody's kind of checking out. So we'll see you the second week of October. And we're so happy that to those of you that came here for the first time, you're here. And to everyone else, we'll see you at the beginning of October, second week.
I'll see ya.
October
Thank
12th.
you. Good night, everyone.
I
All right.
enjoyed it.
Take care, Mickey, Keisha, Christy, Karen, Kim, Michael, Tim, and of course, Frank. Have a good night.
Last but not
Good
least.
night.
Oh,
Gotta
well,
save the
Kim,
best for
too.
last, Frank. Come on.
Yeah, save the best for last.
It's the dessert. Frank
Yeah.
for dessert.
And I was
Yeah.
just thinking I'm about to go get me some chocolate right now.
Right. Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.
Can I throw in one little quick sidebar?